So many developers came and offered tons and tons of money, and we turned them down flat every single time. I grew up in the town of Wolfville, but my heart was out here in the country with my grandmother.
She really shunned any kind of chemicals, no synthetic fertilizers. She didn't really call it organic or natural farming, but that's probably what we would have called it today.
We wouldn't wash the vegetables, we would just pick them out of the garden and eat them right there. And I grew up having my grandmother lament having to sell some of her land to sustain the home farm because of the downturn in agriculture, or the commodity that they happened to be in at the time. The family went without a lot, made a lot of sacrifices to get our farmland back into our control. And when we did, we took it out of conventional agriculture. I have 4 daughters. When Rachel started and made the decision to join us, it was a game changer. What I wanted, I was getting. We thought everybody was advising us correctly then, at that point, to go against organics and biodynamics. These vines are 10 years old, and when we first planted them, they completely defoliated. They had downy mildew so bad that we said, oh my Christ, what have we done? And it wasn't until we started to see the results in the vineyard that we actually saw the improvement of the land. We could actually, we could actually see it, that it became really, to us, really important to keep it up and to expand upon it.
People talk about cool climate. We're really cool climate.
The vines have to work so much harder to survive here.
Great wines all over the world are made on the edge.
The Minas Basin here behind me plays a huge role in the tidal effects of the microclimate of the vineyards.
A lot of that air movement can be attributed to the tides. So Nova Scotia, the world's highest tides. And this is very important for us because it keeps things dry and it keeps the disease pressure at a manageable level.
When we try to describe biodynamics, I always very loosely say, if you can believe that the moon affects the tides, which we all know as fact, then you absolutely understand that the moon affects photosynthesis and plant life and water movement. 10 years in, the plants are very, very healthy. They've developed what I call an immunity. So you have to stay true to the vision, not give up on the first few years. And now we have some of the healthiest plants in the province, I think. The East is a pretty magical place. Our wine somewhere-ness is so strong that I believe that does prove that we're so unique here.
Nova Scotia has a very distinct note that's being more readily discovered from somms and critics who come to the area and are tasting for the first time. Many of them reference a saline note, which is likely heavily influenced from the tides, the oceans, the salt water, the salt air. We also practice Burgundian-style methodologies. 2 of our wines that we're growing are probably closest to northern France.
I think our winemaker Josh put it best. He used to look at them weeds like they were a big problem, and we just look at it now like biodiversity. It's just part of what makes the vineyard what it is. It's helped us evolve the whole farm more as a whole and less as single commodity or a monoculture, if you're called.
It's really nice to be able to see the farm, and I think especially for my father in his lifetime, to see it transitioning back to something that is more sustainable and reminds him more of what it was like when he was a child here.
It's really easy to plow over a hayfield for houses with a beautiful view. It's a lot harder to do that with grapevines that are supporting a winery. And I feel a lot better in my life knowing that it'll be a lot less likely that this land could ever be utilized for anything other than agriculture. Everything is just so generational rather than immediate. I like that.